To Friday, March 27th. I would like to call this public session meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Approved. And also have everybody had a chance to look over the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, the agenda is approved. Like to start this off. Do we have Paul?
We do have Paul. He is online right now.
Good morning, Paul.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you for getting up early. I know you thought you were done with this. And I was hoping you were going to be here. Can you see us?
I can see everything.
I can see everything.
Y'all haven't cut off all my access yet, so.
Okay. We have your plaque, which Dora will have for you here in the office. We have an honor tree in your honor.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
then,
Thank you.
I'd like to say just a few words. Unfortunately, I will not be able to make you squirm like you had me squirming months ago. But I want everyone to know what an honor and a privilege it has been to serve with Paul. He's not just someone that was a fellow board member. He's my very good friend. And he worked so tirelessly for this BHA. And when it comes to our finances, I don't think we'd be in the great shape we are if it weren't for him. And we're very thankful because he's agreed to stay on as committee chair for our finance committee. And I think it took about a half a year of Doug and I to nudge him in that direction. So we're grateful, not that we don't have, a solid core group of people here, but I think it's a nice transition for him to stay on. So I want to say thank you very much. And I have a little present, which someone already gave away, I heard. I invited our good friend Russ to join us this morning so he could say hello and say a few words to you.
Paul.
Morning,
Hey,
Russ.
Christine, good to see everybody on the board. Paul, just want to say thank you for your service. You've done a tremendous job and provided a lot of leadership. I know in my early days there were a lot of challenges, and you helped me tremendously in the team to navigate those. And I hope you enjoy your time on the golf course. And I'm glad to know you're still going to be involved in helping out a little bit on the finances. And if you ever get up to the mountains, please look me up.
Thank you, Russ. I appreciate what you said. It's been quite a time, 3 executive directors in 3 years, and I really enjoyed working with 2 of them. But I'm glad it's over, but I think we got a lot done in those 3 years. So, and Russ, you popping up out of the blue on the camera sort of reminds me of that old TV show, Queen for a Day, where they bring back people from your past. So I hope we end there. We don't go further back in my past because it won't be quite as pleasant.
It was my pleasure, and I just enjoyed a project with Steve and his club in Raleigh, and I hope to see you again not too far down the road.
Great, Russ. Thank you, and good luck. I enjoyed working with you. You came into a tough situation and got it stabilized and heading in the right direction for Doug and the
Thanks
rest
so
of us.
much. Best of
Thank
luck.
you.
Y'all have a good day.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Russ, for popping in. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. So anyway, I wanted to reiterate, Paul, we're so thankful for you, and we appreciate you sticking around a little bit longer. So you can go enjoy yourself for the rest of the weekend, and I will see you right after Easter.
Yeah, I'll be down there and in about 10 days or so, and then there for pretty much through the summer. So I look forward to seeing y'all. I think I know where I'll find each one of you. See y'all later.
Okay, see
See
you,
you,
Paul.
Paul.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Paul. Thank you.
See you.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the committee chair recognition and 2026 goals. And I think we have Tiffany and David here. Christina's not able to be with us. Ann Barry, is she joining?
I thought she might be coming with Betty.
Yeah, she RSVP'd saying that she was coming. She might be coming with Betty because when Betty texted me, she said there's another number on there. I think it might be Ann's.
Okay, well, we do have two people in attendance, so I'd like to recognize them. You know, these two in particular, it's a pretty big deal. Without even hesitating, at least I don't think you hesitated. We kind of stepped up y'all's game and you've made it your own. Thank you.
Mhm.
You've made it your own and you've brought the ARC to a place, I don't know, I haven't been here forever, but I can tell you your meetings beforehand, your meetings afterward, working with Chris so hard. I, for one, have been in those meetings and they're seamless now to where they were a lot more difficult before. And I know all the team members here appreciate you and I for sure do. So I know that's a little token. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to just reiterate, the staff is very, very appreciative of both your time. I know you guys bring a lot of historical knowledge to us and we couldn't have done it without you. And, maybe don't say that enough, but we wanted to take this, opportunity to extend some appreciation. We're trying to this year, and we'll get into it a little bit with the goals. The whole intent of this was, discussed in board retreat, and it's really to support the committees and to drive membership to our committees and support you guys. I mean, you've got other endeavors that you're working on as well, and so we've got some thoughts that we'll share with you, and they are thoughts. So we expect some feedback if you want to give it to us. But certainly looking forward to another year with you guys, and anything that staff can do to help, we're more than open to do it. So appreciate it.
We appreciate you guys so much. Christina is not able to be here today, but I want to tell you she is, integral in helping Steve out. And Steve is recorded, so if you wanted to just say a couple of words about Christina and her help.
Christina has both served as the chair last year of the Long Range Planning Committee, as well as again this year. The LRP did not have as active of a role last year, but I fully expect that will reverse this year as we get into whatever developments and changes that we anticipate will happen at probably a rapid pace with the ferry system, and also the other stated goals and the important ones, I think, that have been long deferred for the Long Range Planning Committee. Beyond that, she's also in her professional capacity served as legal counsel to the BHA for some of the transportation issues as we acted as an intervener a couple of years ago. This was prior to her service on the committee. So we very much appreciate her both in a volunteer and a professional capacity, and look forward to working with her in the upcoming year.
Excellent. So we'll keep this here for Christina with Dora. And I almost want to loop back around to this.
Yeah, well, if Betty and Ann show up, maybe we can
Just come
back
around.
to it. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
that sounds good. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome to stick around. Certainly don't have to.
We've got some goals that I think we'd like to share with you too.
Oh.
We got just one
Want
more.
to jump to that? We can, yeah.
Sorry, I was wrong. I did.
Yep, no, that's all right. I didn't know if Derek, if you wanted to kind of go over the goals, or I'm happy to review them with you.
Oh, you can go ahead, Doug. You're fine.
All right, so it looks like we have hello there. It looks like we have a pretty deep bench this year on both committees. thankful to the folks that have returned, and we have created the rosters here. We put an asterisk next to the folks that are new. And so let's jump to the next slide if you don't mind. So during the retreat, we're trying to think of ways, and as you guys know, we worked hard this past year to kind of true up some structure, get things on the staff side and the operations side more clear and concise. We added some tools here and there. We added some software, all in the effort to be more transparent and to dial in the reviews to make your lives easier on the committee side. And so with that, we felt like let's keep that momentum going. And so we had some thoughts for those, some of which were design guidelines. And so we did actually finish those yesterday. And so we're going to deliver them to both of you. And I know we spoke a little bit about maybe assigning a couple people, which we can talk about in your meetings if you like. But rather than expanding that review to the whole committee, maybe there's one or two in your committee that you want to cherry pick, and then we can conduct that review. I would suggest we discuss in your meetings with the liaisons, time frame and turnaround. I don't think, in talking with Chris and having read the packet that's coming to you, which I think was pretty well done. It's redlined, it's highlighted, she did a really good job with it. From a time standpoint, I think we could talk about that committee review teams and see, how long do we think it'll take us to kind of look at this and get a recommendation back to the board. So that's one of those goals, if you will, that we came up with. Strengthening the bench strength is another one that we felt like is a good idea and a best practice, which it's really, we have two chairs. You guys have a ton of historical knowledge. Eventually you're gonna move on. And so we want to pick that second in command, if you will. Other communities I've been at, we do typically assign a vice chair as a role. So that's something that we'd like to see this year, is if you guys could put some thought into that. And you've got a year to mentor that person, and then if you're going on vacation or what have you, we can obviously let that person take the lead in those instances. So that gives us an opportunity to transfer that wealth of knowledge after you guys leave too, which is extremely valuable, especially with the ARC. And then we're trying to get a little more sophisticated, make life easier with Vanica software. So we are going to roll that out in a strategic way with your committees to help you try to do some online reviews to where you can do it when you want to do it versus either waiting for a meeting or waiting to come to a meeting. So Dora is going to work with you a little bit on that. And we're not going to force feed that. That's going to be, let's ease into it, see what works, see what doesn't. But again, we feel like that's a pretty good goal for this year to work our way through that to see if we can get a better system in place that's easier for the committee. We're also considering some movement with how we manage meetings with Middle Island and Harbor, and potentially merging them in with some A and B meetings. That's maybe a deeper discussion, but it's certainly something we wanted to put on the table to be thinking about. That for us and staff, we may get one or two reviews out of these two every so often, and it would make sense if we could somehow merge them together into one of the two meetings. And that is a little more complicated than it sounds, but we certainly want to take a stab at looking at some opportunities to do that this year. And then evaluating and expediting the review process. The board and I've we've touched on this, and I don't want to go into too much detail on this other than we're looking at opportunities for some form or fashion of an limited expedited review process for just to try out and see if that works too. So
More simplistic things.
we've got some ideas on how we could go about doing that. So that's something that we'll introduce to both committees. and just have some open discussion on once we have a plan in place on the staff side. And then from an ARC, just general standpoint, and some of these are operational shared goals with the team. We have reignited our efforts to scan everything upstairs, to put everything in a digital format for those of you that want to review things digitally. We're adding a software for Chris called Bluebeam, which basically she can do the takeoffs in the software versus on paper. So that's an initiative that we're taking, which may or may not help the committees. For those that want to look at some digital plans versus paper plans, we're going to move that direction this year. And then finally, I've never been thrilled with the way we receive people currently. You know, plans come into our office downstairs, upstairs, and we've got a little bit of an interesting layout upstairs with staff and things. So we're going to look at the physical space here in the building and see if we can tweak some things, not major, but some minor layout changes that we're going to do to receive members, I think, better, and to, you know, receive plans in better, and how all that functions here. So we will probably come up with a plan, bounce it off board, and bounce it off probably YouTube for thoughts and feedback on that as well. So so a lot of this is heavy on operations to take the initiative to turn over some deliverables to you. And certainly we look forward to, you know, your help with design guideline reviews and mentoring chairs and such. So we felt like those were some really achievable goals that we didn't feel like they're time consuming on your part for the most part. So we're looking forward to working with you on those this year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one of the goals with that is that, as you know, we had a hard time with transitioning committees correctly with the right amount of people, their time, how long they've served. Some serve for a very, very long time. And if you find that second person that you feel like you can, you know, help to learn the job so we don't have such a difficult time in the future.
We're happy to keep you on for the next 5 years.
We have retirement.
I know.
I just have
We'll
one.
have the gifts next year. We'll go a little bigger. A little bigger.
Motivation to find a good vice chair. That's how you get to leave.
I was where like committees, the demographics of the island are changing. So in the winter months, we have a difficult time having a quorum. So if you could maybe add what we do on the planning board, we have 2 alternates, and that way it doesn't mess up the quorum. But if we could get each 1 or 2 alternates, you know, that in summer it's not a bad deal, but like these type of months, I think in January I had to borrow one of Tiffany's members join our committee, so we would have a quorum.
And that's good you did that. But also, if you'll look, some of the newer members are people that live here full time.
Okay.
And so
But I'm just saying.
I know, you're right. I think
Because they're here full time. A lot of times, January and February, they are not here.
just we're wintering somewhere.
They're here far out or something.
True.
I just wanted, that would help us
Great
run
comment.
our meetings.
Good idea.
Thank you.
And if you guys have recommendations on people that you would love to to have them submit applications for that position, that'd be amazing.
I've been working on that. It's not an easy
That's
session.
not easy.
It's not an easy step, yes.
And Tiffany and David, just for future reference, you are always welcome to come into these meetings if you feel like there's something to report. If it's not that big of a deal, if you want to just tell your board liaison, and we can do it that way, but you're always welcome. And if you have something now, obviously you can share it. But that right there, what David shared was what we need to hear. So.
I think everything's been burned first to be less.
So
I give her a lot of credit. I mean, she gets all the credit. She's done a great job.
Well, no, you all do. You're a team and you guys have changed it up. It's just, I can't tell you, I go out and about and people have nothing but good things to say now. And that's a good thing.
I heard on the ferry yesterday that we approve everything now. So
Oh,
that was interesting, giving the I heard on the ferry yesterday that we approved everything now. So when I started, we approved nothing. Now we approve everything. They don't happen to see the 15 or 20. Yeah.
I've heard the same thing, Doug. I think that points to a need though for us to communicate some net metrics on a really frequent basis that just state the facts about that.
Yeah, I'm saying that to be humorous because we in the room know that each one of these reviews gets 15 or 20 items typically on a review sheet.
You can't win.
But goes back to Chris. I mean, if she says, I need this, and this before you can go to preliminary or final, and they're providing that, and once they meet the guidelines, of course we're going to approve it because they're building within the guidelines.
That's right.
And that's the way the system's supposed to work.
And she does it with a smile on her face. And how may I help you?
She does, and I will say that, I think the ARC is getting a better reputation because a lot of people come up to me with questions, and I always just advise them to contact Chris. I said it never hurts to ask a question, so ask Chris. And she's very receptive and been very helpful with a smile on her face.
I agree.
think that's been very positive.
Yeah, we're doing something right since everything's getting approved. All right.
Wasn't it at me?
Yeah, I've never been to one of those meetings. Well, that's great. Okay. We can circle back around now. Betty, with education, thanks, guys. With education and recreation, you have had dual chairs here with Ann Berry and Kimball Horn. Is Kim not here today?
Just Ann.
Okay. All right. So
Ann is here, my partner in crime.
right, well, you're saying a few wonderful words about Ann. I'm going to deliver.
Okay. I just want to say, the nature of the Education Recreation Committee is an ongoing job for us. We don't necessarily have meetings per se. We do 1 or 2 planning sessions, one at the beginning of the year, one sort of in the middle. But then it's every month something is going on. And, we've had our ups and downs with people who have requested to be part of the committee. And I think they honestly want to be able to help. But again, it's the issue of they're not here. This is a completely hands-on monthly assignment. And that makes it a little bit different. And we have been blessed with some people this year who have volunteered. We do use them. And then sometimes, when life happens and they can't fulfill their assignment, we've got a substitute. But it is a hands-on monthly commitment. Absolutely. So, and we do need more people, more people. Last year, we lost half the committee because they really didn't understand the commitment and they didn't have the ability to serve. So, but Ann and I live and breathe education and recreation. And we are going to talk a little bit about Takes a Village, but I thought, Ann, would you like to just share with them kind of some of what we're doing this year?
We have something almost every month, except during the high season, high rainy season. And we had tremendous support for the pop-up dinners, and Betty and the group, the committee, tried to find interesting speakers to do some type of program at the pop-up. And we've had probably our 2 biggest were public safety and deer population management. So, and that was in the dead of winter, which is surprising. And then we've done some fun things. We'll stop come June through August, and then we start up again. And one of our biggest things last year, which will repeat this year, will be the tailgate potluck. And we had that up at the marina, and
It was awesome.
It was awesome, and we managed to do it right in between 2 huge thunder rivers. So that was a good thing. And we are trying to get obviously more people, because it is very volunteer time with us. And it goes without saying that what Betty said is true. A lot of times people will sign up and then, they don't realize that it really is that we want to do.
Is there a way to focus some of the people that could plan around one event?
Well, we do. I mean, everyone gets assigned to an event, but all of a sudden, 3 months out, they go, oh, well, I don't think I'm going to be here, and they tell us the week before. So I don't think they really understand. The other thing I think with the potlucks, and I've struggled with the potlucks, I've been here long enough to when, the potlucks were like, everybody showed up. It was the full timers who were here. Everybody showed up. The demographics are changing.
Yes.
Last month, we only had 25 people, and that's a lot of work to put together for 25 people. So we've talked and we've tried to now fashion some activities at the potlucks.
I love.
And so when you hear something, when I hear a comment negative about the potlucks, it's usually, well, it used to be like this. Well, I can't change the people that are on the island. We also talked about, if we really get down to difficulty with volunteers, is doing a event volunteer request. We're having this, we need 3 people to help us, bring some other people in to do it. But it is it's very time intensive, and it's tough for us to keep up, but we're fine. We have a full schedule. Ann and I are doing April, Ann and I are doing May, the painting party, so we fill in a lot when volunteers are there.
And I would like to say one other thing is, Kim Bandera has been just a good to work with, and she will be very sorely missed, although I understand what's going on.
We're going to transition to Dora, but
Yeah, but Kim has, whatever, and I know you called on her a lot.
yes,
Yeah, you guys probably utilize her.
I think we have her like 80% right now.
For sure.
And she does a phenomenal job, and just quick to respond to just about anything, any request. She has great ideas. And I know Dora will be the same. We'll try to be the lone ones. It takes a village, or it takes us down.
Well, this is what you're taking on with that being the inaugural one. It is going to be it has been a lot of work, but hopefully it'll be a lot more seamless moving forward. But yeah, you put a lot into this.
We'll see. Do we want to cover that now that Ann is here? Or is it? I'm sorry.
I think we have some goals.
Let's go ahead and, yep.
Yeah, Betty, do you want to go over them? You want me to?
Oh, I can read them. Okay. Yeah, definitely, we meet as a committee we're usually tasked with having our information by December, which we don't have, because we don't have our new committee by then. So somewhere at the end of the year, we do start. We know we're going to have a couple of potlucks, but we know we have time to plan. But we usually do planning around January. And then we kind of know who's going to be on our committee at that point in time. When we talk about partnerships and collaborations, certainly the speaker series that we're using, we're dealing with public safety, we're dealing with the Conservancy. We would love more. We provide a public forum every month. Anyone who wants to bring forward information about the island, their organization, their needs, perfect setting. But sometimes we're trying to think of what they might want to do. And of course they have their own speaker series, but we are a place to bring people together. This one I don't know about.
So I'll help a little bit with some of these because they're operational support. So I know Betty's heard me preach a million times now. I feel like this committee is the lifeblood of the community and is extremely important. And I didn't feel like last year, given a lot of the things that we were focused on, particularly on the operations side, we could give a lot of attention to this specific committee. However, I feel like we're in a better place this year to do that. A couple ideas that Christina and I have been bouncing around have also involved some staff appreciation involvement through this committee, and some thoughts there about how we can engage. And these are discussions that I think Christina and I wanted to have with the leadership group, and then trickle down maybe to this committee from an engagement standpoint to see how do we and I know Betty, you had some great ideas on staff, team builders, as well. And so, you know, we want to be there to kind of support those initiatives this year. So we're going to assign some folks to your committee to help with that. Now the creative, create competitive fun activities among the volunteer groups. That's another one where I think you guys do such a great job. I don't feel like we promoted enough. So I feel like we've got plenty of opportunity in Salt and Oaks and Compass to kind of support these initiatives a little more, publicize them, ever how you'd like to publicize them. So we're open to putting places there for that to be more visible if you want it. So we're intentionally thinking about that.
But my initial thoughts around that are like this whole initiative we're doing right now with It Takes a Village, enormous.
Right.
And trying to coordinate across 10 organizations has been fun, but incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
And the impetus for this has come from Anne and Kim and me.
Yeah.
And we have had a sponsored group, but I think, for our first foray into this, I don't necessarily think we charged them with enough of the commitment, that we were able to get enough of their time to follow up on the tasks that we asked. We have had to repeatedly send out reminders to please do this, please do that. And we have another one going out this weekend saying, it's set. I mean, when do you get an opportunity like this for $20 to come to dinner at the club and promote your organization and talk to your neighbors? And we are really putting an all-out press on our sponsors this weekend and the management of the organizations to please communicate. So we learned about that. So when we talk about creating activities that go beyond the borders of our control, where we need to bring in other people, I think we seriously need to make sure that we create the right framework for that commitment so that it doesn't fall to the initiators, that it truly keeps everybody engaged. And we've learned a lot, and people are doing their best.
You've taken the first steps with this too. And I'm sure you'll have good notes about what was easy, what was difficult. And I need to be there more to support you too. If you're not getting answers, you copy me and I have no issue.
It's just in general, we as a community haven't done anything like this.
Right, never.
And so it's like, well, they're taking care of it. What's my role? And I think we could have done a better job of really nailing the role up front. But we were so concerned that people wouldn't buy in that we said, you don't have to do much, We're not going to do that again.
Well, we'll debrief after this whole thing. Maybe we could sit and debrief.
Yeah.
I will say one other thing that, and my husband and I were talking about it this morning, because he's on the club house committee at the club or whatever the committee is that plans activities, that kind of thing. And we are all fighting for one small group of people on the island. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just as an example, we're going to have 3 Easter egg hunts. The clubs are each club is doing one, and then we're doing one. And I do think, there needs to be a lot
of competition for the audience.
Trying to get one set of people. We do a speaker series. The club does a speaker series. Project Longevity does a speaker series. And there's no real
collaboration. And that's what Doug and I are kind of talking about, this is what we need to start looking at, is collaborating.
Right, amongst the businesses. Yeah. And a perfect example is the Conservancy, and they rely on the huge shopping, Friday shopping. And last year there were so many events in the afternoon that all the businesses said there was no shopping.
Oh, it was Easter or Christmas?
Christmas,
yeah.
So some type of, I don't know.
That's for your leadership meeting. That's the inroad to try and.
So they said there was no shopping last.
People didn't come because they were doing the golf cart parade. They were doing something at the club. They were doing, and like I said, everybody's.
It's funny because I checked on that. because I check that every year and I had
It's
heard-
Winter Wonderland, it's pet parades, it's everything going on that Friday. We had something on Friday.
You have Santa Claus or something.
Santa Claus, yeah.
I'm just saying, everybody is competing for that group. And we need to do a better job
package it.
of flagging, like, yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's what we're kind of what we're talking about. So
I
Good feedback.
100% agree, and I think we're on the same wavelength. I've been in other places that were under more of one umbrella versus the siloed, umbrella that we have here, and nothing wrong with the siloed approach, other than the challenges that come with it, which is what you're alluding to. And we've talked to Christina, I've talked about it, as well as we see the leadership group as a vehicle to hone some of that in. And a very easy example is, you walk from that end of the street to this end of the street during Christmas, and you see three different styles of decoration in the same street. And that's easily solvable with a conversation, but nobody's having the conversation. And so we feel like, but I keep focusing on this committee because, you guys are doing such great stuff, and that competition doesn't need to be there. It could coexist and support each other's initiatives, right? And I think that's what we're talking about when we talk about, the volunteer groups.
Mm-hmm.
So from a staff perspective, we wish Kim the best. She's done a great job here. We do need to replace that position, which we're working on. And I think, that position will have an events focus attached to it when we rehire. And I use the word lifestyle focus. So that is something that we're really focused on to support and pull together those initiatives. So we'll talk more about that with the board meeting. But and then the last couple thoughts that I know we talked about during the retreat was we ought to see what other folks are doing. And I say that loosely because I'm still relatively new to the area. I know there's a lot of knowledge here that, we know what Oak Island's doing. We know, I'm still kind of getting up to speed on some of that, but I've been in some other areas where we've had branded events and, and we were able to pull those things together. So whether there's a desire to do that or not, I think it's worth discussion and serving up and maybe just looking at.
I do think there is a clarification point that we need to address at some point, and that is, are we here for property owners? Are we here for people who come to the island? We like, even with It Takes a Village, we're trying to stress this is for property owners. But if someone is visiting that weekend and wants to buy a ticket, what do? You say no, no, you don't. They go ahead and buy a ticket. And I think, we need to understand we can't do everything, and I struggle with, just the visiting population trying to be part of it stuff. But I think we need to chew on that a little bit. What is our real audience? And there's clearly a strong sentiment amongst the permanent people who have been here and those who have lived here for a long time. And they love the sentiment of the BHA and taking care of property owners. And then we have a lot of new people, and they really have no sense. And they tend to come more with families. They've got activities they're doing. And it's like, so how much do we feel we should be providing, and what is the purpose of providing it? I think we need to have conversations about that. And it's like It Takes a Village. The purpose is to meet one another, talk to one another, understand the structure of the island, understand the organizations, get committed. It has a real focal point.
We always need more volunteers, but the way I look at it, I came here so long ago to where I had two very, very young children, and I didn't get involved because I was at the beach or at the pool at the club, getting them lessons in golf eventually, and getting them bathed and put to bed. I had no life,
Right.
with them. And then as they grew up, little by little, I think education and recreation was the first thing I did here. And house committee at the club eventually. And, so you ease into that. Now, so far as part-time homeowners, full-time, some homeowners that come maybe once a year or twice a year and keep their house rented out, I think we're still here to service them as well. So that means they're guests. And they're presenting a package when they rent their homes out. So I think we're part of that. That's my thought on that.
Right.
Welcome to
Yep.
all, I kind of thing.
I agree. And to Betty's point, she already kind of covered the last bullet point. That, we need to dial in that information on who's the audience. And so we haven't done it. Honestly, we just haven't had time to get the survey out. But I think surveys are helpful if they're done in the right way and have asked the right questions and try to dial in who's your audience. And then even in some of your meetings where your planning meetings where you're planning your events, extremely useful. Even if you're having visitors that are attending your events, or renters or whatever that person might be, they're still supporting the commercial here, right? So there's a benefit.
Falling in love with it,
and
possibly
so
buying a house.
Buying a house, it's a sales pitch sometimes. So I think there's lots of benefits across the board, but until we start doing some surveys and we need to take that on, operations does, to sort of give you that information and support the.
It also is a communication issue. We need to figure out how to reach them. You can stick something on them positively bald head, but there's such turnover throughout, the visiting population that who knows what they actually see and feel comfortable coming to and whatnot. So we haven't figured that out.
I love, you've been so busy, the whole team, but a survey, I think this is a good time of year to get that out. People are engaged here on the island right now.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just ask a question before Ann leaves? I don't see It Takes a Village on the agenda.
Christine and I talked about each committee, if they would like to report out or discuss something as we're talking to each committee. So now would be a great time.
Now would be a great time. Okay. I just want to inform you, and have you registered? You did? Okay, good. We're still going after people. There's something going to go out this weekend. The arrangements are going well. Again, I would offer that Kim has been an integral part of making this happen. Anne has been superb dealing with the club and the chef and the decor. Where do you see the decoration?
Yes.
And I am like the admin going after everybody. Get me your money, get me your people. But it is coming together, and in 10 days, we can all breathe a sigh of relief. I would say the aspect that I'm most disappointed with at this point, and that we are going to try and solve this weekend with some communication out to the presidents of the organization, the sponsors, and the communications people, is we only have half the attendance we had hoped for.
It'll go up.
Okay, well, what we need is, first of all, the presidents of the organizations and their executive directors, this is your opportunity. You spent money on this. This is your opportunity to talk about your organization, put a face to your organization, welcome people. We have these marvelous display boards that are going to be part of the event. So you have something to talk about. Your friends will be there, hopefully. So we are saying to that management team, be sure you have members of your management team there. Be sure you have people assigned to your board so that you don't have an empty slot and no one's there to talk about it. There's a role to play. I know some staff members. They've invited some staff members. And when I look, I'm sending out a list that shows you which management and staff have signed up. We've got some really well manned groups, and we are one of them. We've got some very tiny groups, and it's like, you need more people there because you're going to be standing there for 2 hours.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I did notice, and I meant to reach out to you a couple of times now, not too bad, but I know you worked hard to have like a template, invitation, announcement, what have you. And I saw a couple sent out there that did not look good from some of the other organizations.
Okay.
So I'm sure you stressed to them, you want it to be.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. But if you want to take it offline, you can. We basically have two. We had, the very formal invitation, okay, and then we have the hands, volunteer one.
Yeah, and just, I'll let you go after this. How about if, Peter, myself, Chris, the other Chris, Gail, and David got together and did a little something and got it out there for that final push?
I think it would be perfect. I mean, I was hoping I was going to come to your management meeting if you had it.
Yeah, we are,
Well,
15th, yep.
15th.
it's too late, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I had hoped to
Let's-
be able
let's come.
to come, but absolutely. If you all, and we are trying to not be the sponsor, but unfortunately in some other communications, everyone said the BHA with, and it's like, no, that is not it, but it doesn't matter how many times we put the message out, it keeps coming out that way. And I absolutely would welcome, and can I give that to you, and then Kim can get it out? Great, thank you.
Do some wording with your template and I'll get together with them.
I was sitting with a group last night and they said you go into a village and all of them are going, but they don't really understand what they're going to. So I don't know how, on our part, how do you describe it? How do you, going forward or thinking about something, because we're also looking for those new homeowners, those new people to grab and say, look what your community does.
Right.
So
There's really two focal points. One is education and the opportunity for organizations to talk about what they do, what they contribute to the island. And the second is about the volunteers, and we are in this partnership together. We would love your support. We want to thank you for your support. And thanks for coming to the party. It's a party.
I think you all worded this all very well. I mean, there's complete clarity for me. Understanding that I've been in it since the beginning, realizing it, but.
I think I'm sorry.
What you're going to do would be extremely helpful.
Okay, got it.
The second thing that we want to push on is, while we have emphasized tremendously with the management, we still have organizations that have not sent a message to their volunteers. So we have got to get those we have their volunteer list. We're saying, you gave us the list, send a message. You are sponsoring this. So we're going to try and get that last push in. And then we are offering also, we're going to have a great volunteer table, and it's going to offer the opportunity for people to request information from organizations if they are too shy to engage there. They are going to be able to pick up literature, whenever literature someone might want to have. And we are going to have a visual display relative to volunteer assignments, and they're going to get an opportunity to guess how many volunteer assignments we had on the island last year. So, I mean, it's going to be great fun, and now we need the people.
Well, this is going to give people a clear understanding of what each of these entities do, how many people it takes to support it, and all the work that people actually do put in it. And I think that'll help people to want to volunteer for them.
Yeah.
I really do. I think, don't get discouraged yet. We've got this.
Well, like I said, I've got this blast going out. Once we get today's registration numbers, everyone's going to have a name tag. All of the management will have their titles. I mean, we're really trying to make sure that we recognize board members, volunteers, executive directors, and then everyone will have a name tag so you know who you're talking to, even if they're just a visitor.
I love it. And all the hard work you've done this year, and this will turn out great. My hope is next year, the people that should be involved in it with each entity, because it's going to go great and they're going to love it. They're going to get volunteers out of it. That you meet with them often, hands-on, helping you do this work.
So anyway, anything else, lady? No.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
And I'm looking forward to our next celebration luncheon for our team members that I can come to.
Your cooking skills are phenomenal.
I know.
Set the bar high.
I'll catch you later. Read your texts and your emails. There's a lot there.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Ann.
giving us the time. We are very proud of this, but we are nervous.
Try to remind every one of these when you start off, they start off slow and pick up. I'm sure in any other social on this island started, the first one was all people asking questions and not jumping in.
Yeah.
So I think round 2, 3, 4, those to start picking up like crazy.
Jump to long range. Yeah, I think Steve could speak to it. Christine's not here, so.
Steve, we've probably brought him to a little bit. Steve, you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay. Can you see what Doug has up on the screen?
Let me switch over to see. There we are. Okay, I've got to switch views here. So this is all, I think that two of these bullets are more tangible action items that are going to be front and center for this year. Two of them regarding stewardship and assets and develop a focus for image and marketability. I think we would benefit from more board discussion, including Doug and team, to see how we can make those a little bit more tangible. So impacts to real estate sales, parking, et cetera, aging amenities, and then focus for island image and marketability. Let's put a little bit more meat on that bone. The two. So anyway, I would appreciate the direction from board and any other constituents on that. I will take all these to the committee, and Christina Kress and I are actually due to talk later this afternoon, and see if the committee has some further ideas to make those more tangible. Shifting over to the two other higher priority and more tangible items. Obviously, the ferry is going to be front and center this year. It seems that there's a bit of a cloud over what has happened since the litigation has all ended and the Sharp View has been cleared to actually close the deal. I think that the parties have gone silent on that, and I think it's curious to everyone who's asked me, and probably you, where we stand with the sale of Sharp View, and if they were champing at the bit and litigating this for years, why indeed have they not moved forward with the sale, and ultimately what is going to be the impact on the ferry system. I think as Doug and others can attest this morning, obviously there's a lot of deferred maintenance with the blown engine this morning on the boat, and any of us who've sat in a tram and creaked along see the deferred maintenance there. That ultimately goes to the intangible, which is image and marketability in 3 to 5 years. And that represents a poor first impression. Also, the ability to actually navigate back and forth to the island is going to be critical. So I think that it stands to reason that without a good ferry system, we're not going to be able to accomplish any of the rest of the goals. The secondary is land and property strategy. There have been a lot of discussions over the years that have resurfaced from time to time, but then kind of go back to nothing. And although the point here indicates open negotiations with limited for high impact parcels, but there are also parcels that we and the club have that abut one another, and then the village is also very interested. And I've talked with Peter Quinn a few times about this, about some of the parcels that and all of these again are kind of the misfit parcels. They're the bits of scrap land that one party owns that are adjacent to another's or might be landlocked by another's. And the ones of my most personal concern are the bits and pieces of the golf course that BHA actually owns that are adjacent to the water. And I would really like to see what we can do about those, so that that people, as they're searching for their lost ball on what they think is golf course property and are actually on a BHA property that abuts not only the water but the alligators. I'd much rather have that in club hands than ours. So I think there's a couple of areas that we can accomplish in terms of land, some of which might be very easy things to exchange and get some of those things done. I'll stop there, and if there's any questions or suggestions that you might offer, I'm very interested and open to those.
Doug had a.
No, I think Steve covered it all. I think there's lots of opportunity for this committee this year as well. And, as Steve and I have talked about before, we're more than willing to help where we can on the staff side, and got some thoughts on the land piece of it as well that might be useful. So happy to help with that.
Yeah, it may fall under operations, but I think in terms of whatever interaction or guidance we try to give the ferry group, I think the overall capacity of the ferry is a problem now too, with the level of construction that's going on. I heard yesterday that the early weekday ferries sell out every day now. So it's a problem getting employees over. It's only going to get worse in the summer when we have lots of visitors.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right, Bob. Just to bring in a little bit of recent history, when Limited proposed the alterations to the ferry schedule, which actually reduced the numbers of runs, when we and the other main island constituents acted as interveners in that scheduling change, we received a significant amount of data regarding ridership. And although the initial proposal that Limited had put forth was not done with ridership count in mind, we BHA, as well as the club and the village and other organizations, analyzed that data and analyzed it very, very closely. And the modifications between the initial and the final schedule reflected a lot of in-depth analysis regarding ridership and the impact. What is absolutely clear from that data from a couple of years ago is that the reduction in ferry service was going to lead to more bumps. It was going to result in greater on-time service so that's the positive. So fewer delays because, with an additional 30 minutes for turnaround, that gives them a greater buffer. But the number of bumps on certain peak times was actually baked into the pie. So we realized that particularly during high season, even shoulder season, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but Thursday, Friday were the afternoon shifts were the surprising things that are almost always going to inevitably lead to bump boats. I think with that agreement, and it was very much a compromise. What the Utilities Commission and the parties also agreed on is that we were going to continue to review that, and that data was subject to continued oversight by all the parties, and it wasn't a done deal. It was done contingent upon annual reviews, and I think that long range planning can certainly dive into that data. We can get it; it's publicly available with a bit of digging from the Utilities Commission, and see where we are 2 years on compared to what that data looked like at the time of the agreement. And as part of that agreement, Limited also agreed to make some changes if those were warranted by ridership. So I think although it's going to take several months to make any changes there, we might be able to informally suggest to Limited that if they're willing to run some additional boats, during that time, or additional contractor ferries based upon the needs, that that might be very much warranted.
Yeah, I agree with all that. It seems like if it's not already, it's going to get to be a problem with employee retention if it's just so painful to get over here. And I agree about the on time is better, but that doesn't really matter if you can't get on a boat to begin with. So anyway, I don't know if you know Slaughter Fitzhugh. He did a bunch of really granular analysis about specific run times. Limited, I don't think ever really looked at closely. So he's got a bunch of data. It's a little bit old now, but you can still see where the problems were going to be, and I think that's held true.
So Steve and I were in meetings with Slaughter, and he showed us all of that hard work.
Yeah, it was Slaughter and Scott Gardner and Peter, and then obviously David from the club, and yeah, so that granular data was what we utilized as the basis for compromising. The starting position of Limited was, we're going to do this. We're going to reduce number of boat runs no matter what. And so, the island entities were left with trying to minimize the adverse impact and try to shift boats towards peak areas. But Limited's opening position was very much that this is not a discussion about whether we're going to reduce number of boat runs. It's where that impact is going to be felt.
Steve, as a sidebar, I did sit in the village's planning meetings for this year, and there was some heavy discussion on between committee members on the village as to disclosure of whatever information is out there and has already been determined. Let's get that out there again and make sure it's clear and transparent, especially as it relates to the sale or the other group's agreement or whatever could be talked about and clarified. There was a pretty big push for them to Peter directly to say, look, Peter, let's reinvigorate that a little bit, get that information back out there to the community so they at least know where it stands today, because it's still a little gray for a lot of people. And Peter being on the
Transportation Authority
placement board, I think, selection board. Obviously, there's things you can't talk about with that, but if there are things, that was another question mark for him, was
Quad as well.
Quad as well, yeah. So that was discussed. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. So are the points of contact Peter and who else?
I think Peter would be our contact through the leadership meeting. But the message that I heard at that meeting was, we're going to get it out through our communications team on whatever information we can get out. We're going to get it out. Now, I haven't seen anything, but that was the discussion at that retreat meeting.
Okay.
We have a role to play in that in terms of promoting communication. I mean,
it's Betty. It's not just promoting.
What's going on? Something's going on. Can we get? I know Peter's last email said we are all. I can't remember the way he phrased it, but he said we're all investing in this to move forward. But that's very lacking. It doesn't say anything about timing. It doesn't say anything about.
I think Peter's in an awkward position in that, he has a fiduciary duty to that board. Then he has a fiduciary duty to the village in his current position. So he has to be careful what information he's sharing between the two. But I mean, to your point, he needs to clarify.
Talking with Chad, I mean, isn't there something the two entities could do from the homeowner's perspective to say the homeowners want to know what's going on? Put together a joint message. Put it out. Put something out.
Something of substance would be good. But Steve, I think talking to Claude Pope is good direction to go, and then we can message something out.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's my thoughts on that. Anything else on this?
I think we had a finance slide, but Paul is checked out. So I can, you know what, I'll read our finance slide if everybody's okay with that, and for the record. So we did, or unless Bob, unless you want to read it.
Yeah, I mean, I read over it
Okay.
a couple days ago. I can cover it, I think. Several things that we need to address this year. One is I met with Doug yesterday and Leanne and Dora to some degree. My first introduction to the kind of long range capital planning model, and where we stand relative to being able to fund that over time. We've got to do some work around that and try to figure out the best solution to get us in a much more prudent and healthy financial position with regard to all the association's assets. We do have some sizable balances in some investment accounts. We want to look at those and see, are we optimizing those, or the optimal mix of risk and return? Is there a way to increase the yield on some of that stuff to help us address the reserve funding situation? Want to look at the financial reporting that we get out of the new system. I think Doug has already made some substantial progress on this. There's work to do, but it's already much better than I think they've had historically. I want to work with the long range planning committee to look at other possible ways to use association assets or services to generate additional revenue. Again, could help offset either dues assessments increases or just provide funding to address the reserve situation. Look at kind of see where we stand relative to comparable associations geographically, and just see if we're in line with what other groups are charging. And then we didn't really talk about this one. I don't have a sense at all of how possible or realistic that is. We probably should talk offline about potentially looking at the healthcare program, and if there is some kind of entity that could be formed to share that. I just don't have a good sense of that one yet.
There is. We can talk more about that in executive, I think, but I've got some thoughts on that.
Okay.
And I should have put Vicky's name in quotations on that first bullet point about, because that was her she was instrumental last year in sort of driving that reserve piece and you know, getting that goal in place up there. So I think we did put a recap slide, and I was kind of wishful thinking, hoping that we'd have a full audience here of committee heads in our audience. But this was the slide that we wanted to take a moment and kind of think about how can we, and this was discussed at our retreat, how can we support the committees better this year? We know we've had some turnover on them. We know we've had some challenges getting some folks on the committees. So how do we create some momentum and maybe turn that around a bit? And that's the onus, honestly, behind some of these goals and this whole initiative is let's drive some enthusiasm, drive some support, make the committee members feel appreciated. And so we did, that was the intent behind the goals. And so, assigning the vice chair, I think, is a great idea. That was discussed during the retreat. It gives us the ability to hand the baton off, if you will, with some knowledge attached to it. I think, publishing and staff, honestly, doing a better job of publishing meeting dates for these committees on the website so that people can come if they want to come. Get that engagement where committees want that engagement. I think that's always helpful. Staff's time has been limited, honestly, with, keeping meeting minutes and but we have a mechanism to deal with that now, where if we just log the meeting in, even if everyone's sitting in the room, Dora can set up a Zoom and Zoom will record the meeting for us and send the meeting minutes out. And so it takes that headache away. It makes it easier for, vice chair or chair to have a good running note for the meetings, official meetings.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Because I don't want to lose this. We have had over the past year, ins and outs on staff. And we still had one head count, which was your head count, that was staffed, that we did not fill. We haven't lost that in the sauce, have we? Okay, so that if you needed something somewhere as you are looking at whatever
We have an
communication.
extra slot, yeah.
You still have it.
Not including Kim, yeah, we have an extra slot. It's
We
just,
had also had money in the budget for it.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yes,
Okay.
your point. And I, and executive talking a little more about that replacement position. And then I would welcome the board to invite, send those invitations out to the chairs on a quarterly basis or what have you to show that engagement. We talked a little bit about that. Come to the meeting, tell us how things are going. We didn't do a lot of that last year that I saw, although we had a lot of going on. From a staff perspective, I mentioned during the meeting that we can promote some of these initiatives that folks are working on, and happy to do that in Salt Oaks and Compass and on social media, which we didn't do a lot of last year either. We did some. And then I think the final bullet point there, I truly see that leadership group being a mechanism to, pull some of the initiatives across the island together and bring it back to this meeting with some sort of report and provide that linkage. So
This is really helpful. This is good.
So I think that's the last committee slide. Thank goodness. But I think I hope you guys appreciate the fact that we're really trying to put some focus into it this year from our perspective. I think it's valuable. I think the committees are valuable. We're not getting full value out of it.
Doug, I would suggest that we make a readout on these initiatives part of our regular public session meetings. So how do we, for every public session, we have an agenda item perhaps that states, status of current board and committee initiatives and document clearly how we're doing on each of these.
Yeah, that's great. We can add that as an agenda item.
Well, this time around, we don't have committee reports on here. So is that something?
No, as applicable.
Yeah, I figured since we were doing the portion of getting the goals to the committees and recognizing the chairs and since there hasn't been a whole lot of activity for 2026 yet, we'll go back to that for the.
Going back further.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This was kind of like a very large scale committee report, so to
No, I
speak.
understand.
We finally got so many things figured out. We're able to go back to the bones of our whole association.
She's. Yeah, I don't get her in.
What? Oh, man. But this is all great news. I mean, we've got so many, we're finally jumping into this century. Doug and Dora have done a great job of, getting some new software in place, training the team, training us. All good times. Everything's exciting. And I'm glad some of you were not here to see some of the crazy times. Okay, are you done with that? So you're now on to your director's report, even though you've covered everything.
We're gonna move pretty quickly through these other ones here. I think Leanne has joined us. I'll read this slide, and then Leanne, if you want to just give us a recap of the financials. We just had a finance meeting. I will tell board we finished up the December financials, delivered that to the finance committee. We had I'll call it a rough draft of January, February in the new format loosely, that we are still dialing in, for January, February. But last year, we finished out the year with around 280,000 on the net side. That's about where we thought we would be, with some of the rough forecasting that we did toward the end of the year for the budgeting exercise. So we're feeling okay with that. There's definitely more to talk about there for this year, and I know Bob has some ideas on it too. So most of that was, we had some underestimated assessment collections where we may have not had the lots versus homes dialed in, where you get more revenue for the homes versus the lots. So we have identified that, and we did see that from the 25 operating budget into the 26 budgeting exercise. So we did catch that for this year, but that provided a bit of a increase in the revenues. ARC filings were slightly higher. That contributed to the revenue side as well. There were some savings on the payroll side, on the expense side, that all of those together, and we didn't use very many legal expenses this past year that you have in prior years, which is good to the staff, and I think that speaks volumes that we've managed some of those things in house. So that's what those items really contributed to that 280,000 net. We are in the process of sourcing that CPA support, and Paul and I have talked a little bit about this. I won't go into length on this other than to say our finance policy requires it, and we did a good job. Vicki was instrumental in that last year of kind of updating our finance policy toward the end of the year. From a timing perspective, trying to source CPA help during tax season is a challenge. And then, the layers of service that we think we need are kind of a smaller tier, which makes it harder to attract some attention. And so, we'll talk more about this maybe in the finance committee meeting, but I think there are some challenges there. Not anything that we can't overcome. Just, my recommendation to finance committee and talking with Bob and other Paul was, let's go ahead and get the taxes dealt with our current auditor, button that up, get them out, and then we'll focus on that yearly support mechanism where we have a little time. And then from a software standpoint, kudos to Leanne and the rest of team Dora. We are in Vanica financially, and we're living and breathing it. And I know Leanne is still working through some pains there, but she's done a great job with it. I know that Christine has probably seen some invoices come her way and proven things within Vanica. We have the entire year of last year within Enumerate, so we will be phasing out Enumerate as we bring on that CPA support. So kudos to her. So I'll turn it over to
Can I
Leanne. I'm sorry.
ask something before you go off this? I feel like I really don't have my hands around my interface with Vanica and what I'm supposed to be doing with it. And when we get messages out, I just don't do anything. And so I'm still looking for attachments to emails and things like that. And I need some remedial training.
Steve has a bit of a fix, and I know we could do a little tutorial if I know Dora and Doug would be happy to do that, but I know it's me.
And no, it's not, I mean, honestly, it's a new software. It takes a minute, especially, we as staff are learning how to use this software, and it's taking us a minute, and we're using it every day. We're asking you guys to use it when we have an email vote, Yeah.
Yeah, and send me another email with the attachments and I'll deal with it, and I know that's not right.
No, and I'm more than happy to. I have a meeting with so we have Vanica has several steps where we have a specific person assigned to us during that step. One of our specific assignments is going to discuss with me on Tuesday. I reached out to her about, some of the troubles that you guys are having with it, to say, hey, is there an easier route that I'm not seeing? Is there an easier route we can create? So what I would love to do is have that meeting with her on Tuesday. And then after that, maybe schedule a meeting to sit down and I can show you guys. I mean, we can go over it once, we can go over it 100 times. It does not matter, just to make sure we get everything.
One of my
comfortable.
sticking points is, I thought we were going away from the Microsoft shared whatever.
Yeah.
And yet I feel myself still going back there. And so
Yes.
I'm confused as to where is this information?
Exactly. One of the things that I've been sticking it in the messages, but I think I just need to give you guys kind of like a PDF to show it too, is that in Vanica, when you're looking on the side where it says board tasks, right above it is one that says documents. And it's basically like your Microsoft SharePoint, except for you don't have to sign in and validate who you are. It's just right there. And all those documents are uploaded.
But we are also uploading them to the Microsoft
I'm doing
SharePoint.
I'm doing it right now so that you guys can find them.
Yeah, that's what,
But that
Dora?
way, in transition.
Dora, can we, I think that you'd rolled out some training information at the very, very beginning, like here's how to log into Vanica, et cetera. It was a few months ago. I think we'd probably all benefit from, having another training session.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like 30 minutes one day and knock it out.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
What I could do is I could go ahead. There's a couple of them that I've even been doing for staff where I've taken the Vanica version and I've kind of BHA'd it, like I personalized it. So what you're looking at is what you would actually look at versus a template. What I can do is I can send those out to you all, and then I can send out a series of dates, and you guys can let me know what would be a good date to do kind of like a sit down training
Yes.
session.
I'm in.
Doug, on the outside CPA help, what is the timing of that in a typical year? Is it heavy late in the year when you're doing the cash to accrual adjustment, or is it spread throughout?
Last year was spread throughout. I think it could be different this year. We just got to get them on board and have a discussion.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand if there's urgency to that or not. I mean, the audit tax stuff has some urgency. That
I think we need that help for the audit.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, Leanne, is there a specific one you want me to start on?
yeah, could you go to the budget comparison?
Sure.
And guys, there are days that I feel like I need a class in Vanica. So just know that you're not alone.
And we play with it every day. So we're exercising our Vanica muscles and still coming up short at times.
Cliff note version.
All right. Can everybody online see that? I mean, I'll zoom it in a little bit, obviously.
A little bigger.
Now we can.
Okay, I'm going to go over the summary sheet and then I'll point out where those things are. Account 4,000, the very top, that was based on a different number by the interim executive director. And so that is why that amount is a little different. Hopefully this year it's closer. It's just that we did different of improved and unimproved lots was a different number. On 4,000-400 Sumner's Crescent, that budget number was just not calculated correct because that hasn't changed. On the 4,200 and below, those are the ARC filing fees, and they total $190,182, and we budgeted $161,000. On 4,100 and 4,105, those two are the rentals, non-member and member. We had 16,700 and we forecasted 10,600. And that's always just a shot in the dark. You just don't know from year to year how that's going to go. On 4,300, 000, the reserve interest was just understated there. That's kind of a guess, somewhat a guess too. On the operating accounts, 7,000. That was due to the loss of an employee. 7,025. Those transportation costs were due to less employees working from home. Now, we've gone over some of this stuff before, but I'm just going over as a summary for the year end. 7,040. 7040, yeah. Okay, it's not showing on there now. Okay, we don't use that account. And so we took the budget and that should go in the transportation budget. So it is, we don't use that account anymore, but there was some money budgeted to it. 7,130. All those contingencies were the interim cost from the interim director from January to March, I believe. 7,710. Those landscape services are higher than projected because the dump fees are not included in the budgeted amount. 8,610.
Oh, you're making me really scroll now.
Yeah, that's the last one. That is just was a bust. When the interim director walked in after the meeting, I said, wait a minute, where's the auditor's fee? And he said, so we knew from the very beginning when we blew that one, but the budget had been approved. The auditor's fee was missed when the budget was created. Also, we have not been billed by the CPA this year. So it's really going to be a bust on that one. And on the reserves, we didn't have anything. On the back sheet of the summary sheet, I've just got listed all, which I usually do, is all of the accounts and our what the balances are at month end. I don't really have anything else I need to go over unless somebody has a question. I know Christine does.
I had to leave the room, so I missed everything.
I knew it. I knew it.
Would you like to show them the way the new setup looks for?
All right,
Vantage?
we're going to do that. Now this one's going to be really a summary. I just want you to see if you're okay with how this is laid out. This is now, Doug, you want to talk about it? You talked about this at the finance committee.
Yeah, let me touch on this. So you flip back to that income statement, the old one, real quick. All right, just visually, you can look down the page. You see it's a bunch of GL numbers and income and expense. Now flip to the new one. As we've talked about in prior board meetings, this puts the income and expenses in their buckets of cost categories. It gives us the actual of the budget, so it gives us a whole different view of the financials that I think we can still dial in. There's about 50 of these different reports within Vanico. We just picked this one. But you can see just the level of detail and the clarity is much better. And honestly, this is kind of what I'm accustomed to. So this will be what we're taking to the finance committee. We can certainly hone it in if you guys have any opinions on it. And Bob's, I'm sure, going to look at it with Paul in the finance committee meetings. But the statements the monthly statements will look much more intuitive. I think you can pick it up and make sense of it a little more, knowing that our payroll cost X, or our overhead and payroll cost X, and then here's our maintenance expenses, and rather than looking at 300 lines of data. So this is the norm out there, so we're catching up. But
yeah, I like seeing the major categories and the separation of master association from the various neighborhoods we manage separately. So I think that's a great change.
I agree. Okay.
So this was prepared, the day after I sent out the paper.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I was
I
like,
had the
okay,
year
did
end
I
in
miss
there, but
this?
this was,
Okay,
yeah, this was on my desk the day after. So yeah, you did not miss it. I missed it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, the beginning of last year when Paul and I were talking about trying to get summarization. From my vantage point, it seems we need to be looking more analytically and reporting out more analytically. How are we doing? Where do we have an issue? And then that's it. Because we struggle with, where are we? And I know I can't get into 300 lines. And
Right.
we
Yep.
tried with the summary statement, but the summaries didn't always do it. So if we have a reporting mechanism that says, this is the state of our finances, much better.
Well, I think we did that at the annual meeting quite well, and I jokingly, but not jokingly, said a pie chart is the way to go for people like me that get glazed over with too many numbers.
Well, I can say, a summary for Betty for that one is we increased our income from what we projected. We decreased our expenses from what we projected. So we did really well with our budget last year.
Yay!
And that's, that's, I can tell you that.
After 2 months.
I did want to show you the receivables transaction summary. It's very different. Dora, can you find that one?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's what she's speaking to, is just a summary snapshot of where we're at.
This one?
An executive
Well, I can't
summary.
see it yet. There we go. Yes. That's kind of like not our aging report. I don't really care for it. I'm hoping that we can just get down to just the assessments on it, which if you guys agree. And there was a pie chart, but the pie chart was actually just said how many of the expenses were 30 days late, how many were 60, and how many were 90, which is not really what I wanted either. But this is very different looking, and if you look over it, it makes sense to you, but it's not really used to the aging report that you guys are used to. And if I do a regular aging report, it starts listing names. It gets really long because it either lists names or account. If they want privacy, you do account numbers, and it's still a bit not what I think you guys want.
But it seems like you now have tools that you can develop the right reporting for the finance committee, but then when it comes to the board, it's really got to be summarized.
I agree. I think the executive summary is probably what you're looking for. Getting it into these categories took a little bit of time and getting it into the system. But I agree. I think,
Get your hands on.
yeah, now that we've got this structure in place in the financials, I think it gets a lot easier for us to do that for you. So we'll dial that in probably through the next finance committee meeting, because they want to look at some of these examples formats. And if we can dial the package in, then we can dial the executive summary in. So
Well, do you think I'm right about changing this receivable transaction report, or you like it is?
I say we need to look at every option we got in there and see which one we're comfortable with. So
we might need a new one.
We've had maybe 2 weeks to look at these reports, given we're loading everything in. So we've not had a lot of time to digest the information.
It has access to the reporting system, but it's really hard to play with when you have like 2 lines of information versus a full set of data. So
True. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Leanne.
You're welcome, Christine.
And I don't believe we have any members in the room or online, so we could probably go over the member comment section.
Have we had any visitors online today at all?
I think we had 1 or 2, but they've dropped off since. And one of them was Madison checking to make sure I did something right on.
Oh. What is Madison's last name?
Bachman.
Right, I think
Bachman, but it's Bachman.
today we've gone in depth to what I typically talk a lot about. So far as with board president's report. So we've already covered pretty much everything I'd like to cover. But again, Betty, back to you. I did notice Claude has been great with his email blasts. I sent you an email with the one thing we were discussing. And I did, just a little bit ago. I will circle back around. I'll make that a priority here with,
Thank you.
before the beginning of the week, that'll happen. And I just want to say that all committees are, I think we're 100% full now with our committees. And we will start at this point looking at alternates for ARC. I think that was a fantastic idea, which, by the way, Doug, you had already brought that up.
Mhm.
I didn't want to steal David's thunder on
No,
that.
that's
Yeah, we're finally settling in, really thrilled about that. We had our little bit of bumps, but kept moving forward through that. Excited about what we have coming this year. I think this It Takes a Village is going to be huge. It's going to bring us together island-wide in a way we've never seen before. Doug and I are hosting I'm going to call it really our actual really first leadership meeting.
Yeah.
We did a little trial, and now we're just going to get it rolling. And I think that's going to be huge. And both Doug and I will report back after that meeting, summarize it, and let you guys know how it went. And unless anyone has any, and we're going to miss Kim. She's done a great job, and she is retiring. She's had an injury. I think that's really pushed her back a little bit. Doug's already mentioned he and Dora are going to interview for someone to fill that position. I'm super excited, and if anybody has any questions, they can ask Doug or Dora about the fact that my biggest pet peeve here has been getting some of these things electronic and getting some of those files before our ceiling falls through upstairs. This is something that's been a big deal to me for quite a while, and most of the board actually. And it's going to be at a cost that is not as obscene as what we were first quoted a couple of years ago and then last year. And so slowly but surely, but quicker than we had originally projected, we are going to go digital. And it's going to be a big deal. And we can actually have some good, solid office space upstairs for our team members.
2 cabinets down and counting.
What's that?
I said we're 2 cabinets down and counting, so.
Yeah, you heard that? 2 cabinets down upstairs.
We're gonna have a ceremony?
Have you ever watched
A no cabinet ceremony?
What's your way?
33.
That could be one of our recognition events. No cabinets.
Go take a peek up there before you leave today.
Yeah.
And mind you, that upstairs is so much better than it was just a few months ago. And then down a couple of cabinets, it's a big deal. We were keeping in some files bricks, roofing material.
Bricks?
Oh, I found a brick in one.
There is a straight up brick in one. of them.
Examples.
Yeah, you can't make it up.
Explains here.
Good stuff.
So bottom line is we're just getting into this new board member time. We got a new board. I'm excited about it. Great people, all working together well. And I'm looking forward to a fantastic year with all of you. And thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So unless there's anything else, we'll do a 10-minute stretch your legs, all that kind of thing. And let's see, does anybody have anything else right now?
No, I
Okay.
move we adjourn the public session.
Okay, thank you. Friday, March 27th, 10:11 a.m. I call this meeting adjourned. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
See you in 10 on the new link.
I have to laugh. I never got